Hi folks, hope you're all doing well. Reza just don't stop, do they? A couple of days ago I released a new video on the updated version of Automobilista 2 by Reza Studios, and that was version 1.2.4.2. That came out very shortly after 1.2.4.1. I just got that right. But they quickly updated it because there were some problems with the AI at Monza and a few other bits and pieces as well. But we're now on version 1.2.4.3, which, God, I'm sure you're sick of me saying that already, which brings us a load of new improvements, but also the new BMW 2002 Turbo, which was going to be coming with that first new update, but they decided to hang back a little bit because they wanted to perfect it. Now, there are all sorts of fixes as well as the new car. There's general fixes, like each car has had, or all cars have had, an adjustment to their crankshaft mass. I don't know if it's if they've adjusted it individually for each car, or if it's just larger or smaller mass for each car. But you know, that's how fast your crankshaft revolves, so it's going to affect throttle response and how fast it keeps its inertia or doesn't under no input. So you know, when you're in between gears, things like that. Also, there are specific car updates, like so for instance the McLaren 1720S that has had its weight distribution adjusted slightly, and then there are track updates as well. So there have been updates to certain tracks, especially Monza, and this let's just have a look. Let's go and find it, because I tell you what, this little beastie is absolutely lovely. This is the new car. It's, as I said, the BMW 2002 Turbo, and it's great. It's such a fun little beast. But we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that because there are things in the update which I've noticed in the patch notes. There's updates to this car as well, by the way, to the differential, and that goes for both the Corvette C3 and the C3R, the racing version. But there also seem to be things that are not in the patch notes, which seem to have improved. So I want to go straight to that. So let's go to our GT3s. Now, I mentioned I'm going to use the McLaren 720S, which does feel a bit different as well, to me. Now, I mentioned in my last video that the AI had improved around Monza, but with certain cars, like the GT3s, they still had problems. With the first update, when Monza first came out, they were coming off all over the place. Parabolica, Ascari, Grande, everywhere. But then they patched it, and they seem to be a lot better, although they were still having problems getting around Ascari without spinning out. And I don't mean hitting each other, I mean just literally smoking their rear tyres and spinning out. However, this isn't mentioned. I'm going to use exactly the same settings that I was using before. So for this car, I'm using 108 skill level. You will notice my aggression is at 0. The reason for that is because I use the 200, and I'll just prove it to you, the 200% damage option down here. So full damage, 200%. So I use 0 aggression, because with higher aggression you get the cars making much more aggressive moves, and there's much more chance of them coming together. So I don't want that. I might decide to raise the aggression all the way up to 100 if I'm racing slower cars, which are also tin tops and quite, you know, strong, but also aren't going at such high speed, so there's less chance of terrible accidents, like the Copa Classics, for instance. Then you can have a little bit more sort of rubbing as racing, but you know, with more delicate cars that go a lot faster, I'm keeping that down. But anyway, that's what those settings were, and I was running a qualifying session as well, because don't worry, you're not going to have to wait for me to do that this time. I was running a qualifying session as well, which I would recommend, because it sorts out the cars, the order of the cars. If you don't run the qualifying session, you just get slow cars in front of faster cars, and more accidents happen. But I just want to prove this to you, because I'm sure I'm not going mad. I'm sure this is improved. They now get round Ascari fine. So I'll just, before I go around, I'm not going to do a full qualifying session. I'm just going to do a quick lap because there's a couple of things that are in the patch notes. You know, more obvious things that are actually in the patch notes that have been changed.
The pit exit's clear. Okay, Paul, we've got...
Thanks, Jim. That's Jim. I've got Crew Chief running. Crew Chief, great app.
Be careful.
I'll leave a link to it in the description of this video. So you've got a Crew Chief to talk to you as you go around. Now, one of the things that is in the updates, the performance of the Monza tracks, the historic versions and the modern version, i.e. this one, there was a problem with that. There were quite big frame drops. You know, I'm usually running at about 93 frames per second, roughly. It'll dip up and down a little bit, but it was dipping all the way down to, say, especially if I was in the rain, it was dipping down so far that it would start to stutter. That is now not happening. I started this lap at 93 frames per second, and I'm still at 93 frames per second. And I've tried it in the rain as well, and it has much improved, as it has with the historic tracks as well. So I can confirm that performance, they've adjusted the level of detail, or LODs if you like. Also, interesting thing in the patch notes, I'm going to slow down for this, let this Porsche through. If you have a look, as we go around Ascari here, have a look at this curve on the inside. See how that's divoted? So it's sort of like there's a V shape to it. Oh, got a car right behind us. Oh, we slowed down well, didn't he? But yeah, if you look at that, you can see, and there's one on the left over there as well. Wait for these cars to go past. You can see it sort of dipped down there. Oh, that was close. I noticed that in the rain those were filling up with water quite a bit. There's an interesting thing in the patch notes where it says that they've added drainage materials to the modern version of Monza, which is this one, which has got a lot of these sort of ploughed out curves, if you like. And now, does that mean that it's so they don't fill up, I guess? Does that mean... I didn't know the Automobilista 2 had actual... You know, it had actual... Does it simulate drainage of the water that falls on the floor? I don't know. But that's interesting. I did have a drive around there in the rain, and they don't seem to be filling up as much. It seems like that to me. I could be wrong, but it really does seem like that. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments. But let's go back to the pit box, and we're going to skip to the end. And there we go. It's put the cars into some sort of order. It's not as good as running a full qualifying session, but
14 minutes.
Let's see.
Not got much time to sort this out.
How many cars come off at Ascari this time round? Okay.
Okay, Paul.
I'm only going to do a few laps.
15 minutes.
Because I was finding, because I've been quite analytical about this, quite scientific in my testing. I was finding that pretty much every race, there wasn't so many of them coming off on the first lap, but it was the second lap where they were all coming off at Ascari still. Not all of them, but quite a few of them. It's not to say, even though I'm using zero aggression, that there might not be the odd coming together, because it is Monza after all. So, you know, if the odd couple of cars come together, then fair enough. But with 200% damage, we'll know if that happens, because any contact, they'll get damage and they'll pit. But everyone's got through just fine there. So, coming up to our second chicane. Hanging back. But the GT3s just seem to... Oh, green Mercedes using quite a bit of curb there. The GT3s just seem to be really behaving themselves now. Have you noticed an improvement, by the way? Once again, let me know in the comments. But it just seems like Reza are doing such a great job when things seem to have improved and they're not even in the patch notes. Maybe it's a knock-on effect from something else they've done somewhere else in the game, but it's working. So here we are at Ascari, and no one's spinning out or smoking their tyres. But like I said, we're on the first lap. So, and I will do, I think I will have to do now a race video of the GT3s around here, like I did in my last video. So there'll be full race with trackside cameras as well as my cockpit view. And 200% damage to keep it interesting. Oh, there we go!
Lopez is now leading.
We've got one car. Now, I'm not sure if he's spun by himself or if he's come together with someone. But no one else has gone into the pits.
V31.
I assume he will now pit. So there's still going to be the odds. You know, you never quite know if there's going to not be the odd thing happen, because as I said in the last video, every single race that I have in this sim, even if it's not just reloading the track, it's just restarting the race, ends up different. I love the variety. It's just fantastic that the AI is so varied in their behaviour. Anyway, going back to the matter in hand, we're on our second lap. Let's see what happens at Ascari this time. And presuming everything goes smoothly, we will then leave it there and jump out of here and have a look at some of the other content which has been updated and has been mentioned in the patch notes. That includes updates to the Group A's, by the way, which I found interesting. The C3, and of course there's the Corvette C3, and there's the new car, and here we are at Ascari, and everyone's got through fine. Oh, apart from one. That might have been a coming together. Might have been a spin, but literally before this they were just properly losing it, loads of them around Ascari, and now
Alright Paul, the next car is Laura.
So there we go, we'll leave it at that. It's much better, much better.
Ezekiel behind is pitting.
And I've had, yeah, there we go, that fella's just pitted. I thought he would, but I've had quite a few races around here now where no one's come off at all. It's great. Right, so let's jump out of here. So let's have a look at some of the other stuff that's been updated. By the way, let me know what you think about what's been done to the McLaren. Like I said, the weight distribution has changed, and I'm sure it's turning in a bit better. I could be wrong. Anyway, so let's go for a test day. We're set up at Suzuka. Fine, why not? Let's go and have a look at what's happened with the Corvette C3. Don't worry, the BMW's coming. So this car, since it's been out, I found it a bit odd. It's let's face it, a Corvette C3 is gonna be a bit of a lumbering, belligerent old man to handle and to you know, get round corners. But the other thing that I found odd about it, do I need to do anything set up here? Everything's as it should be. I think we're on default, so that's fine. What I did find odd, use my H pattern shifter this time, is that a car, you know, with this amount of power, I know that the road going version is probably geared so people can't, you know, Chevrolet probably didn't want customers to kill themselves straight away, so it's probably geared to
All clear.
not let that acceleration totally kill people, but it had no guts at all in first gear. It just completely bogged down,
Your brakes are
and you
cold,
sort
be
of
careful.
crawled away. Now, with this change to the differential, I don't know what they've done to the differential. This happened on both cars, this and the C3R, the race version. But now, I'm getting away a lot better. And it's even, I don't know if you heard that there, you could hear the tyres just start to spin a bit. Getting a little bit of that, and that's with, well, let's do it again. I've even left a couple of tyre marks there. So that's interesting. And let's see if I can get a little bit of a Yes, I can get the back end out as well. So there you go. There's an interesting. That to me is. I like that. That's much better. Let's try that one more time. Just. A little bit of back end out there. So that feels a lot better to me. I'm really happy with that. I won't bother going to the race version because I didn't have a problem with that not being able to split its tires at all. But I'm much happy about that. Also, and this is I know a lot of people are really happy about this. They had put the C3 into the same class as I think it was the Minis and the Lotus, which are obviously a lot slower. Fast around corners, but a heck of a lot slower because of the power differential. So, I mean, they were grouped with these. They've now separated that. So, now you've got vintage touring cars, I think part 1 and part 2. So, that's part 2. These cars have both been updated as well. I think maximum FFB for the Mini and also chassis inertia for the Lotus, and that feels better as well. I've got to say that. So obviously how much inertia the actual chassis has got, how much it moves around on the wheels, but these cars, you know, are much better matched. I mean, we've got 300 horsepower in this one, only 220 in this one, but this one corners so much better, it brakes so much better, they're so much better matched. And also, I mentioned the Group A's. There's been a few changes to the Group A's, but the main thing that I've noticed, and someone told me that this was actually fixed a couple of patches ago, but I hadn't noticed because I've not used them. The Group A's, if you're wondering what they are, let's go to a historic touring car. These ones, I could never use these with anything else other than the rolling start, because they just, if I used a standing start, I just smoked them off the line, you know, and they were useless. Now, these, and also another car that had a problem was the M1 Pro car. Now, they get off the line bloody quickly. They really do. What has also happened with these is they had an AI calibration pass, which I'm very glad about because they were really slow. Anyway, so there's our GT Classics, all lovely cars. But here's the bit you've all been waiting for. Let's get down to come out of here. Let's get down to what we all want to see. This car. Oh, it's just fantastic. Let's take it for a race, shall we? Just a quick race. Got to reselect it again. There we go. Okay, so where are we going to go? Should we stick with Monza? I suppose we might as well stick with Monza because, well, it's a new track. And also, there's a 1970s version of Monza. Oh, but I like the 1991 version. It's got a few more corners and, yeah, I'm going to be silly and use the 1991 version. We'll go here. And let's take that down to 100 because I'm not. So in fact, I'm going to go down to 98 because I haven't really had time to practice with these yet. So this is going to be my first proper go in these. We'll just set ourselves up with a quick 10-minute race. There we go, and see what they're like. You know what my skill level is and everything else. Let's go. I do like the 90s tracks. I like 90s Silverstone. Although 90s Silverstone in this game still has problems because car was low ground clearance. They hit the curbs too badly. But yeah, let's see how they deal with and how the AI deals with this track now that the AI has been updated, and how the AI deals with this car. I'm loving this historic content. I'm just going to skip straight to the end there. By the way, with this car, no, I don't want to do that. With this car,
14 minutes. You really need to get on with it.
There,
V25.
there are a few things you can adjust. Can't do much with the differential, but you can up the clutches. But with the standard on the differential of 4, you can still get the back end out. Anyway, let's just go and have some fun with this damn thing. Okay. How much fuel have we got in there? Yeah, that's more than enough.
15 minutes. You'll need to get on with
Look at this grid.
Time to focus. Green, green, green.
Oh, and it gets away so well. That turbo kicking in at about 4,000 revs. It seems to out-accelerate the Corvettes. However, they will then catch up. Okay, oh, look! Are coming together. Didn't expect that so soon. Oh, got a car off there. Bit messy so far. Mind you, I didn't really let them run any sort of qualifying session. Just skipped straight ahead. That might have something to do with it. I'm looking forward to more historical content. Someone on the forums was mentioning things like Lotus Cortinas and, you know, old Alphas. Yes, please. Some old Lotus and Lands, things like that would be awesome as well. Maybe an old Mustang. But I'm loving this car. It's got the back end out there. It's so nimble. I've also noticed through this car and also mucking about with the older F1 cars, like the 1970s F1 cars. On those and on this, the engine temperature gauge on this car actually works. There's a lot of people as well on the forums have been saying that there's no, you've got no temperature gauge on your HUD. So it's hard to know what your engine is doing. Although I would say that you've got your engine health there. You can see that in green at the bottom left. All that car's very close to me. I think I've just run him off the track. One thing I have noticed from the quick little run, or the odd little runs I have had with this car, the AI with this car do tend to dart about a bit. Maybe that's why there's already been the odd coming together. But they do tend to, the BMWs do tend to dart about. We've got one pitting already, so he's obviously got damage. I love this thing. I love the interior. The fact that all the gauges work. And as I was saying, you can tell the health of your engine down here. If you're, over revving it too much, you will see that engine health that figure start to increase, your percentage of damage to the engine. But in this car you can actually see, and some of the other historic cars, you can see the temperature gauges and it tells you if your engine is boiling hot or not. So we've got an orange Corvette there making a move on the black and orange BMW. By the way, if I'm not very good around this track, it's because I haven't really given it a full test. I haven't had a full race here yet. I've had a drive around it a few times, but just not had time to give it. I mean, it's only been out since the weekend. Hear that turbo whistle when you're coming off the gas? It's fantastic. The reflections off the back of that Corvette just look lovely. But you can see, my mistake, folks.
Suspension's looking pretty bad, mate.
Yes, Jim, I know. Properly damaged the front suspension there. I'm not paying attention, am I? What's the car looking like? Oh, now there's a thing. I've just come at the outside view and you now can't hear. Look at the state of it. Whoa, that's put me
The
off.
leader has just done 11.2.
Well, at least, at least I suppose that gave us a chance to test the damage model.
Your suspension's completely knackered. There's nothing we can do there.
Pretty damn good damage model, I'd say. Let's get off the track. Yeah, sorry about that. It's not quite gone the way I hoped it would. But, yeah, it has given us a chance to see the old damage model there.
Alright, Paul, 10 minutes to go. That's
Crikey,
10 minutes
look
left.
at that. That's really well done. Love the damage in this sim. And look at that. Back suspension completely knackered on the right hand side. Rear end knackered, front end knackered. Pretty much everything's knackered. Oh, and we've got a front opening bonnet there, front hinge bonnet, so the wind's just blowing that back down again as we go forward. So I'll limp this back to the pits, but I've got to say, I'm so chuffed with this update because that, you know, things like the fact that the Group A's now, you know, I can use them in standing starts. The GT3s are much better around Monza, modern Monza, and this car is just fantastic. I will do something more in depth, and have a look at maybe specific things. But I just wanted to have a little overview of the new patch. Anyway, yeah, it was a bit of a disorganised video, wasn't it? Anyway, cheers for watching. If you like my stuff, please do subscribe. It really helps me out. And thank you to Reza for this awesome car. I will have a proper racing video with it. Do you think the way the AI drive them maybe could be looked at? But all in all, fantastic. Cheers for watching. If you want this channel to survive, do me a favor and hit subscribe. May seem like a small thing to do, but it enables me to make more videos for you. By hitting that button, you can help us thrive. Subscribe and keep this channel alive. Don't cost nothing, don't take no time. Come on now, keep this channel alive. Please hit subscribe. Please hit subscribe.